Some music that Joseph Lindsley sent us from Ukraine today. Hello, Joe. What's happening?
Hey, Bob. Good afternoon from Kyiv. And this is music actually from Cleveland, Ohio. It's a song by an American veteran named Drew Ferguson. He was a Green Beret. He was a brother of my friend Brian Ferguson, who was a Navy SEAL. And Drew served in Afghanistan. And he, unfortunately, when he came home after the war, he killed himself, like so many veterans who suffer from PTSD. But he left behind all these songs that he wrote. And he was a great artist, painter and a poet and a musician. And the story relates to Ukraine, the story of Drew, as we listen to this very cheerful song, I Know a Place. 2 days ago, August 30th, was the day we were attacked here in Kyiv, but it was also the 2-year anniversary of the withdrawal of American troops, of American officials from Afghanistan, very abruptly. I was in Lviv, because as you know, I got stuck in Ukraine during the pandemic, and so I've been in Ukraine since March 2020, and on that same day, we didn't know, it was a surprise to everyone how quickly America left Kabul. And on that same day, I had a package at the Ukrainian post office from Brian Ferguson, a retired American Navy SEAL, formerly worked at the White House. He actually worked at the Bush White House when the war in Iraq was launched. And then he said, if we're going to launch a war, I got to go fight it. And he became one of America's top warriors. And he sent me this package that, as I opened it up, I realized it was a piece of Drew Ferguson's uniform that he wore when he served in Afghanistan.
Wow.
And after he died, his family took the uniform. There's a special, I think it's a special service in Colorado. They take uniforms of fallen heroes and they make it into parchment. So they break it down and make it into parchment. And so they had maybe 30 pieces of parchment from this uniform. One of them was sent to me here in Ukraine. And on it, they had an imprint of one of Drew's heroes, the Big Lebowski, from the film The Big Lebowski, drinking a beer. And on the back was a photograph of Drew, and just a reminder of the service he gave, the selfless devotion he gave to his country, and then how hard it was when he came home. And when I got that package in the mail, I never would have imagined, Bob, that I would be in a war zone myself.
Wow.
Less than 6-7 months later. And so that's been such an icon. It's been in our news bunker in Lviv. But Drew's brother Brian and their friends and family in Cleveland said, we need to do something for veterans. And when they come home, they have these stories. They don't know how to share them, and they started this thing called Project Drew, and they have workshops in Cleveland throughout the year. And they match a veteran, it could be from Vietnam, or it could be from the first Gulf War, or more recently. They match a veteran with a songwriter, and the veteran and the musician will spend a day together, and the veteran will tell his or her stories, and the musician has 2 days to write a song about it. And so the music we heard is part of this Project Drew. And if you go to UkrainianFreedomNews.com, in the top left, you can go to the website, and they have so many. They've probably made about a dozen albums now of this really wonderful Americana music, telling the story of our veterans who've served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so I think of that every year on the anniversary, of the fall of Afghanistan. And of course, I was thinking about it as I was telling you that story yesterday about Sam Nui, the British warrior, who was killed here in Ukraine. And by the way, when I was telling you the story of Sam and his sacrifice and the way his cheerful devotion to Ukraine, a bit of a backstory on that. Right before I was preparing to speak with you all, and I was going to a rooftop, one of my usual places in Kyiv, rooftop a restaurant above a hotel with a great view of the city, Bob, which you advised me not to be here when there were missile attacks.
Yes.
And right now there's no alarm. And while I was preparing for our conversation yesterday, a friend who was a veteran of a European military from a European country texted me, and he was so broken by the news about the death of Sam Nui. And he said, I can't be alone. Do you have time to talk or get a drink? And I said, well, I'm going on radio right now. And so while I told you the story of Sam, one of his close friends in Ukraine was sitting across from me at the table, crying, clutching an old fashioned, and crying, and just a reminder of how, how deeply this is felt, and all, and it's been when Americans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, so often when they go home, there's no one to talk to. But that's one thing to hear, that everyone is in this together, and so there's always, as awful as it is, it does help being able to speak about it with the people around you. And as my friend said yesterday, after we concluded the segment of your show, he said, good people die because when there's a fire, they jump in it. But the lesser people, they just call the fire department and wait, and they hope someone else fixes it. And perhaps that is an analogy for what we see happening around the world. The people who rush to the fight to help the Ukrainians, and those who those people with lots of power who, as I said yesterday, practice what the anonymous administration official from Washington calls strategic patience.
It's so important that we hear these stories, and we so appreciate you telling them to us every morning, Joseph. And that Project Drew sounds so worthwhile. We'll put that link on our website too. So if you go to WGNradio.com, the Sirott show page, you'll find that. I know it's no holiday for you, Joseph, but I hope there's a chance you'll get some R&R, and we'll check in with you again on Tuesday.
Thank you, Bob. Wait, is it a holiday in America?
Labor Day Monday. Yeah. Yeah.
Happy Labor Day to everyone.
And yes, you've got other things on your mind. And again, Joseph, I can't tell you how grateful we are to hear these stories, as sad as some of them are. They need to be told. So our thanks. Big time.
Thank you, Bob. Until Tuesday.
Thank you for introducing Ukraine on your social media pages. That's very important, that much more people can get more information about the situation here and how everybody can help Ukraine to stay stronger and to save all the world.
Що сказав?
Well, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Come on now. Oh, which side are you on?
На чиїй ти стороні?
Ебать.